I did a search, very simple. I came up with 1,252 active listings. All right, let me explain to you what I did. I did all of Florida. I wanted to see what the buyers are looking at. So these are the active. This is an active database, okay? And I sorted it by what is it earning, from the most amount of loss to the least, until we get to positive cash flow here, the numbers ascend. And I wanted to see how many businesses there are for a buyer to consider. Now, keep in mind, these asking prices are only that. They're asking prices. So generally, they're going to knock off a percentage because there's retail and then actually what it sells for, and I could figure that out. Out of 3,500 active listings, approximately, 1,252 of them can be purchased with under $200,000 as a down payment. Okay, here's the down payment right here. Okay, so they're under, and here for 158,000, they're telling you construction, contractor, home, and you can make $712,000, but heavy assets. But these are all the earnings and the down payment. So for me to go on the market and say 200,000, I'm competing against these guys. Do they give us the 200,000 and a negative cash flow, or do they give this guy the 200,000 as a down payment and owe the difference, but you got profits of 626? That's what buyers are looking at. They're saying, how much is it going to cost me? How much am I going to earn? Can I run it? Do I want to run it? That's pretty much how it works, okay? But I wanted to do one more filter for you because, somebody that lives in Broward might not be considering all 67 counties. They might be, here was the search I did. Maximum down payment, 200, all counties. I'm going to leave categories open. I'm not only going to compare you to restaurants because somebody that runs a restaurant could also run a gas station perhaps, okay? Let's just do Broward, okay? All categories. What is my maximum down payment of 200 by me, okay? What's available, right? What are we competing against? All right, well, here it's sorted by alphabet, right? Advertising, automotive, beauty, and you can see there's less. There's 188 of them. So these would be my direct competitors, really. If somebody says I can stay home and run an advertising business and make 404 with 160 down with sales of 589, this is a much more attractive opportunity than 200 to a restaurant with a negative 200, okay? On larger sales, you're doing 700, which is amazing. They're doing lower sales, higher net, okay? Which is why, if you want to talk about a different industry, I'll be happy to talk to you about other industries. Okay, so here, tailoring, transportation, you can see here, make 120 for 180. Make 180 on 250 with a 25 down payment, okay? So you can see that there's more attractive opportunities if they don't have to be in the restaurant business, okay? So let me sort this by the adjusted net, okay? A lot of them are losing money. For example, if I had 200 grand, I would say, okay, 200, I can make 550, 531. Can I run it? Can I repair trucks? Hire some mechanics? And I'll make there's enough to hire a manager and a whole staff and I can still make a nice living. Here the same thing, here the same thing. There's money here, okay? So that's what it is. Let's take a peek and see what kind of restaurants we're competing against. If somebody's only focused on restaurants, which I would hope that after this, maybe, we could talk about a different industry, a better industry. I have home-based businesses that you would love to stay home, perhaps, for almost no money. They're low overhead, get to be with your family kind of thing. All right, Broward restaurants, maximum down payment 200. Let's see what's available here. This is the earnings, right? This is the net plus any additional add backs. A lot of them are losing money, but here, this guy is earning Asian restaurant. For 165 down payment on sales of 973, you could make 308. That's what they're representing. And I'm not allowed to show you the agent's version, but this is the buyer's version, okay? He's saying in 2018. Okay, that's the catch. So he's not advertising 2020 numbers. So we can go back up and, here this guy's on the tax return, but he's not showing the 20 numbers. He's showing 19 and he's showing 18. But still, lower sales, higher profit. But anyhow, I just wanted to share this with you, and at least you can see what's going on out there. I'll list it any way you want. I'm happy to work with you. They do take time to sell. There's 56 other restaurants, but for the same 200 grand or 150 or whatever number you come up with, we're competing against not only these restaurants, but the other opportunities for that money and the time of the owner, okay? And there's better uses of your time. I'm sorry to tell you, restaurants are not the best use of your time, on an hourly rate. I can get you more money in a different industry for less, So, all right, my man, that's the second video about the actives. Hopefully this helped you. If you need to see something else, just let us know. We're here to help. But this is where the buyers are, And here, let me show you this too. Let me show you what restaurants sold in the last year. That might be interesting for you as well. What sold in Broward County restaurants? Let's just say all restaurants, okay? Broward restaurants, and let's only go back 12 months, okay? This is what sold. 36 of them sold in Broward in the last year. Some of them, most of them, a lot of them, half of them didn't make any money, okay? This guy was making money. He sold for it was listed at $650. It sold at $750. Wow, sold for more with a down payment of $150. But not until you get here does everything change. See, 69, 69, 20, 20, 100, 100, 30, 30, 80, 80, 79, 79. It's asset value. When you're here at zero or negative, it's asset value. This is land. So the Business Brokers of Florida, as I mentioned, it's a 20-year-old association, but we specialize with all the accounting and the legal and the marketing. It's different than the residential agents would ever know how to handle. So as far as the solds are concerned, I want to show you what the association members have come up with, okay? All right, so I go to Florida, and these are going to be the sold database. I have different filters here that I work with, and I can go by counties. There's 67 counties. If you said, Eric, just show me Broward County, I could do that. But for this particular thing, I'm going to show what I'm doing now. This exercise. I'm going to show you all Florida, all types of businesses. Let me show you the subcategories. These are all the subcategories of the categories. So we break it down into subcategories, all right? And if I go to restaurants, just to share with you a little quick on this, we have all different kinds of restaurants. When I do my search, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do just Italian, okay? But for right now, I want to show all of them to you because I want to show you, and all dates, these are dates. I can go back 5 years, 2 years, 1 year, all different sources approving the financials, with comments or without comments. There's so many different variables here. But let me just show you all the solds, just to show you what's in the database, okay? Number one, I think it'll show you that this is the place to advertise. You need an agent that's a member of this association. In 20 years, the association members have sold 22,646 businesses, all right? We've sold tax practices, CPAs, bookkeeping. I mean, if I click on any of these, you'll see it's all different, and it doesn't even load properly, Deli, concession stand. And if I click on any of these, it'll give me more information. Okay, so that should help you understand what I'm working with and why I can say with confidence that I'm about to say what I'm going to say. All right, let's go to restaurants and let's narrow it down to only Italian restaurants. So not only restaurants, but Italian restaurants. Okay, all counties, all time frames, all prices, all sources of information. Let's see what we come back with. And I'm going to sort it by the adjusted net. Well, what is the adjusted net? That is what's on your P&L and what's not on your P&L. Meaning, if there was cash that's not on your P&L, we want to know about it. And if there's any personal or non-business expenses, that becomes the adjusted net also. So if your net is at a loss, but your adjusted net has benefits that were given to the owner, whether it be paying for personal bills or a different business or college or a trip to Hawaii or whatever, or cash, okay, that didn't hit that number, that didn't hit that P&L statement. We want to know about it because you might not be in a zero situation. I've seen guys that show zero and they're really making, whatever. So let me just share with you here. There are 423 solds in this association sorted by their value of earnings. It goes up in earnings. It's not fair for me to compare your business to these businesses because this ratio of earnings compared to the sale will be a different ratio than the ratio of no sales or no profit rather with these kind of sales. So this is the 423 that I'm going to be pulling from. The assets here, I looked at this. This asset is real estate. Okay. So if I was doing comparables, I would remove this one right away because yes, they were losing money, but the value was the land and that's what it sold for. Okay. But while I'm on this, let me just show you. When it's losing money, okay, or zero, let's just say a zero. 150 sold for 150. 100 in assets sold for 100 in sold price. 250 sold for 250. 200, now we need to ask, is this 200 in new value that the owner didn't add it correctly when he worked with the agent? And then it sold for 77 because the buyer did the used value versus the new value. I need to look at that or contact the agent. But I would bet you this was an overstated value of the FF&E and then it sold for what it was really worth on the open market. That's generally how these asset sales are done. 90,000 in assets, sold for 90. So the seller stated what it was worth, the buyer agreed, okay? And we made a deal, okay? And only $50,000 down payment. You notice the down payments are not at 100%, okay? 155 in assets, 155. 70, 70. 99 sold for 90 with a 50 down payment, okay? 85 sold for 85. 200, now again, this might have been overstated value, sold for 99. Okay, 225 sold for 225, 100 sold for 100, 95, again, this might have been overstated, but it sold for 60. 50 in assets sold, okay, so you get the idea. If we're not using a multiplier of the adjusted net, the businesses generally sell statewide. In the last 20 years, they generally sell for the asset value. That's generally how they sell, okay? Now, let me narrow this down a little bit further, okay? Because I don't want to compare you to all of these heavy hitters that were sold 20 years ago, okay, or 15 years ago, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's not a comparable. So let's narrow down the 423, and I'm going to go down just a little bit more. Let me put another filter in here. I'm going to do 1 million gross, because I don't want to compare you to somebody doing 10 million in gross, okay? And here we go. I'm going to sort the adjusted net. These are the guys that are doing under $1 million in sales. No, I don't know how this could be. Under $1 million in sales, keeping $1 million. Okay, somebody's wrong here. All right, but 925, they kept a third. 320, that's kind of how it goes. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, but again, this is too broad. This is 362, right? So now what I want to do, I want to go back. I want to remove some of them, and I want to go back. But here, the asset value is sold price. This is really going to be your grouping. But the problem is if I go by sales, it's not fair because you do have sales. It's just you have sales, but you don't have profits, right? So if I say smaller sales, I'm going to get rid of it. It's not comparable. So let me go back one more time, and I'm going to plug a date in here, okay? I'm going to go and I'm going to say, what did COVID do to this market? Let's just go back 3 years, okay? Because I had done this before, and that's about where I need to get the volume I'm looking for. So 3 years, right? 19 would be 1, 20 would be 2, 21 would be 3 years, 36 months, all right? Let's do solds. Let's sort it again by, what's earning or losing money, right? Okay, so now you have 67. It's much more manageable, right? But you're not in this group because you don't have profits, right? And they usually go to the trailing 12 months for one owner. That's usually how it is. So I would be comparing you to one of these guys, even though you have sales, you don't have the horsepower for someone to make a living on unless you have add backs that I don't know about, okay? But take a look. 200 sold for 99. 20 sold for 20. 61 sold for 61. 100 sold for 100. 90 sold for 90. 555 sold for 95. This might have been a seller that didn't calculate it correctly, or an agent that didn't stop him or couldn't stop him from maybe overstating the value, okay? The reason you don't want to overstate the value is at closing, if it's not the right value, the buyer is going to ask for a discount. So if you only include 100,000, but you told him you're going to give him 550, he's going to ask for money off at the closing table, okay? So that's why it's not a good idea to overstate this, all right? 140 sold for 70, 140 sold for 140, 95 sold for 95, 100. You get the idea. All right, so we're going to be in this group as far as comparables are concerned. All right, if I do this as a group, I just wanted to share with you. I'm going to calculate this. Now, I got to remove this guy because he's totally throwing off the numbers. Okay, here, I just wanted to show you what businesses under $1 million sell for. They're selling for an adjusted net. Now, I should really remove the ones that aren't making money to be more accurate. But just to show you this group, 1.26 times the adjusted net. Okay, well, here it is. The sold price to adjusted net. This is not applicable because there is no adjusted net. 6 times, okay, 3 times, 1 time, 2 times, 60% of a year. Okay, the average is 1.26. The average days on market to get this sold was 274. Average down payment was 88%. Rent average was 8%, about 8%. Okay, single digit. All right. Now again, I would have to exclude these guys. If I got rid of the zeros, just quick, and I'm going to have to make you 2 videos because I want to show you, Joe, I want to show you what somebody would be looking at for that same $200,000 that we might be asking. Here, I got rid of all of the ones that don't have earnings. Let me recalculate it. 1.73, and it took 300 days with an 85%, almost 11% in rent, 10% It's rounded up, 10 or 11%. That's where you want to be. Right now, it looks like you're at 25% rent. So your numbers are askew because sales are off, okay? So my question is, how fast do you want to sell, right? And when do you think it would turn around? Is it worth hanging on to? Or do you want to bleed more financially? Okay, so that's the puzzle, okay? An average adjusted net versus sales of 21%. So on $1 million, 200,000 is what they're saying, okay? I don't know, okay? That's the numbers on average. All right, so I hope this helped. This still says restaurants Italian. Let's do all of Broward for all 20 years. I'm just curious. We've sold 64, and these guys were losing money. And how did they sell? Okay, 90 sold for 90. 155 sold for... So if I did it by county, it's still the same thing. If you're not making a profit, they sell for the asset value. And the asset value should be the current in-place used value of what a buyer can go. If he didn't need your particular make and model of equipment, he went on eBay to buy it. What would he pay for it? That's fair market value. It's in the open free market with nobody under compulsion, just open market fair trade. That's how they sell. All right. Now, if you have $200,000 worth of furniture, fixtures, and equipment, God bless you. Let's get $200,000. I'll do anything you need. If we want to do a listing, I spend 50 grand a year promoting my listings. I spend more money and time. I have a team of 12 people. And I got internet guys, and I got retail sites. I got 2 associations that I belong to. I got a database with about 10,000 prospective buyers. We really do a huge marketing. But I think you're going to fall into this category. And honestly, if you're losing 200,000, you're going to be the largest loss of any of them. So it's really going to be a tough sell, and certainly you can't sell a multiplier of the adjusted net.